Welcome to the Transformation Institute's podcast for change. Here is our host, Omari JAHI Aton.
All right, welcome to the Transformation Institute podcast for change. I'm your host, Omari JAHI, and tonight's episode will cover a title that's really, it's kind of interesting, and we're going to be discussing modern day fashions. Are we expressing ourselves with these fashions? Are we being expressive, or are we exposing ourselves? That's what we're going to be dealing with tonight. And so I just want to introduce you to my co-hosts. We got Miss Londa, we got Miss Kim, and my man V in the building, y'all. Welcome to the podcast. All right, welcome. One of our main objectives and goals tonight is to explore the psychology behind these fashion designers and these fashion trends, that they keep evolving over years, and every 10 years, well, probably even more than that, we're getting these different fashions. And I'm questioning whether this shift towards revealing and these loud styles is a form of authentic artistic freedom, because a lot of people say, this is just expression, cultural expression and things of that nature. Or is this a cry for validation and attention? People are these attributing to these fashions styles and things of that nature as a cry for attention, wanting to be seen. So, what you guys think? What area are we? Well, it could be both, actually. But in your opinion, what are we dealing with here when we dealing with all these different fashions? Because fashions over the years have been changing, and then I guess another question I want to ask is, who in the hell is in charge of fashion? Do they ever ask any of y'all anything about whether you want this fashion or that fashion, hairstyles and things of that nature? Who comes up with this stuff? That's just me though. But what do y'all think? Are people just are they just expressing themselves, or are we exposing ourselves with all these different fashion styles and things of that nature?
I think, like you said, I think it could be both. That's a good point you bring up. It could be both. It just really totally depends on the circumstance, and depends on the individual. You got people out there who dress in a certain way because that's who they are. That's their artistic fashion. That's how they express themselves to be. But then you got plenty of people also who dress a certain way, definitely for attention, definitely to get, all eyes on them. You know what I'm saying? So, man, like I say, it depends on the individual, because you will have people out there that say, well, this is, I have a right to dress this way, and you do. But it's just like, I think it just depends on them, because I know plenty of people who just want the attention.
Right. I agree with that 1,000. And a lot of the times I think it's really, well, let me show a video first. I want to show you guys this video, and this is something I saw on, I think it was on TikTok or YouTube. I think I got this from. How back in the day, women used to dress. They were very attractive, in my opinion, and they didn't have to show, butts and butt cheeks and a whole lot of cleavage and things of that nature. But they still were considered, in my opinion, beautiful. Now, y'all check this out. Y'all tell me what y'all think. In contrast to what we see in the day, as fashion.
L is for the way you look at me. O is for the only
Which outfit was your
one
favorite from this
I
collection?
see.
Share in the comments below and follow Vintage Inspired
It's
Fashion.
very, very
Now, those outfits, I thought those women looked gorgeous, you know. But I mean, I guess that's just me. And I believe if somebody wore that out into a nightclub in today's, well, I guess only older people would like that. Young people ain't gonna like it because you ain't showing nothing. I mean, I'm asking all these questions. I don't know what the answer is, but every so odd years, the style changes or fashion changes, or we're introduced to some new fashion. It's supposed to be this cultural thing. But I'm wondering, why does this fashion gets less and less clothing, and they calling it style. I call, a lot of stuff that a lot of kids are wearing today, I call it like stripper attire. I don't know. What you think, Kim?
I think we're in an era, so you have to look at the era we're in. Back then, the era was different. You didn't have digital. You weren't in the digital era, and you wasn't in the era of iPhones and stuff like that. So you wasn't exposed like you are now, and that is dictating how the younger generation and the older generation are dressing now. And like V said, people are dressing for attention now because again, attention draws numbers. Numbers draws dollars. So that's the era we're in now. The more numbers you have, the more money you're making. Back then it wasn't about making money because again, you had the husband who worked the jobs, and the women, all they did was just look nice and go to dinner parties and so forth. But far as the way we're dressing for expression too, because a lot of us, we want to look good, we want to feel good for ourselves.
Well,
So we see something we like, we put it on, and guess like, girl, you look good, or man, you look sharp. So again, it's the era that we're in, and we're in the era of digital viewing,
but let,
and digital viewing brings in the numbers, which brings in the dollars.
now this guy Hercules Cannon, he asked a serious question, and who controls the fashion industry? You know,
The
uh,
money, the money controls it.
no, but there's got to be a person behind the money or some people. You know what I
Again,
mean?
the person that's behind it is the money. The money is controlling the fashion because they're looking at these influencers with these high volume of viewers, high volume of clicks, and they're like, okay, this is what the people like. So let's feed into that. I'm telling you, it's all
Well,
about the numbers.
no,
If
no,
you follow the numbers, you will follow who's controlling the fashion.
I agree with that. But why do we go along with it? I guess that's my question. What are we getting out of it?
You're
I
getting to look
understand.
good. You're getting to look cute. You're getting to get the compliments. You're getting the likes.
Well, who who
That
who
that's
who
all it's
dec-
about.
who decides what's cute and what's pretty and
The likes,
I mean, who decides that? You
the
know, it,
likes, what the people like to see.
Maybe the culture, I guess.
The era that
I
we're
don't
in.
know. Like I'm come up like what 90s and stuff. So like I guess what I looked to then for me was whatever hip hop, like when
The
hip hop was
baggy
wearing in
clothes, the
and stuff like
inside
that. And
out.
so yeah, and I think that's what tells us to kind of like, hey, this is how we dress because this is what's going on, and everybody wore the same thing and did the same things because this is how we look good.
mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like what influencers are doing.
Well, I remember back in the day when Soul Train was on TV. And we wore a lot of colors. That was in at the time, I guess. All these psychedelic colors, the big afros. They wasn't wigs back then. They was real hair then. But that was then, and then like you say in the hip hop era, I think about TLC and SWV, those groups and how they dressed, they wasn't booty cheeks out, you know what I mean? But they were some cute girls, and you could still consider them attractive without their cheeks and their breasts hanging out and things of that nature. But now we got what is her name?
Just say influencers.
No, these entertainers. You got Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, Beyonce. These are the ones that are driving the fashion industry. These fashion designers put it on them, and then they do a video or they perform somewhere. Now everybody want to dress like them. It's to me. I see it as a programming, and let me show y'all what I mean. Now I remember when it was a movie. What was it called? Oh my God! I could see the actors in my head. It was one of those. What is the name of this movie? It's not Boys in the Hood, but it was the one with Wesley Snipes and Christopher Williams.
Oh, you talking about New Jack City?
Yes, there you go. New Jack City. I remember when New Jack City came out, and everything was about the Jeeps. You remember the Jeep in the movie? After that movie came out, everybody was trying to buy a Jeep. The cool ride to have was a Jeep. And then in another movie with what's her name? Janet Jackson, Poetic Justice. Remember she had the big dookie braids, and all the women was breaking their neck getting this hairstyle. You see what I'm saying? So it's like we are conditioned, to mimic people that we consider or view as being popular or I guess we can even say like getting attention. Like V was saying earlier. These people get all the attention. These women, Janet Jackson was getting all the attention. Tupac was liking her, and everybody want Tupac, love Tupac. So I'm gonna get me some braids like that, and so I'm gonna be cute just like Janet, or I'm gonna have my breasts hanging out and my butt cheeks hanging out like Beyonce. So I'm gonna be sexy,
But what about the dudes? I mean, come on now. It's
okay. Name me some. Name me some dudes with their butt out.
No. We're not talking about the butts out. We're just talking about guys' fashion. If you want to talk about the artists. So with Tupac, he had Thug Life written on his.
Yeah, he take his shirt off.
Thug Life written on
his stomach. Yeah.
And then you brought out the rappers look like what's their name? Run DMC and all of them with the dookie chains. Everybody wanted one of those. I remember that. We grew up in that era.
I remember
in the
that.
80s. Everybody wanted the dookie chains and the Gumby haircuts. So and then with the Ready for the World with the Jerry curls, the lines on the side. Everybody want to be MC Hammer. So again, these artists are out there because they're influencers. And if you look now, these influencers, you got the Silver Fox Club. They're distinguished gentlemen. They're bringing back the gray beards, saying, you know what? Rock your gray. Gray is sexy. So a lot of these guys, now you got another group. So again, these influencers are influencing people. And I think it's letting people know you can express yourself however you want. And they just letting you know it's okay. Because again, it's going to change. Because now bell bottoms are coming back. And they was in the 70s. But now people are rocking them stylish. I seen a video the other day on Facebook where this lady rocked a garbage bag. Literally a garbage bag. She dressed it up, accessorized, and guess what? She looked good in it. A garbage bag. Now what? A designer gonna pick that up?
No, I get what you're saying, but see, I'm looking behind. I'm like Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz. I'm looking behind the curtain.
Okay.
And it's like we got all these different industries. We got the music industry. We got the movie picture industry. Well, we just call it the entertainment industry, just to wrap it
Okay.
all up. The entertainment industry. We got the sports industry.
You got
You
the
know,
church industry. You just got it everywhere.
no,
It's
no.
everywhere.
The church industry is not as popular or is not as influencing.
Oh, it is, especially
I say,
with them hats, them church hats. Oh, yes, it is.
oh yeah, but you ain't seeing young people wearing church hats.
I'm just saying they're influencers.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
So are you
is that
talking about the young generation, or are you just
I'm
talking about
saying
people
I'm
in general?
I'm saying all of us used to be the young generation.
But
Every last
again,
one of
we're
us.
talking about fashion as a whole, correct?
No, I'm speaking of where did these fashions come from, and how is it that the fashion seems to dictate how the future generation is going to carry themselves and how they're going to be represented and how they're going to appear to the masses of the people of the planet Earth in the future. Who dictates that, and who comes up, like what Hercules was saying earlier? Who controls these fashions? You see, if you got an entertainment industry that deals with movies, videos, concerts, uh, uh, records, music artists performing, things of that nature. They have control over all of that. Just like you see a lot of these companies that they have these alcohol sponsors. And so you'll see a person like a Diddy with a Ciroc, even though that was his thing. But I'm saying you see these entertainers, they are pumping or they are promoting alcohol in some way or another. You see, old boy on his podcast got his own cognac and things of that nature. So they promoting alcohol, cigars. That's the new thing now. Who pushed that out? It started with these like that Negro. What's his name? Suge Knight. Even before him, but Suge Knight was with the cigars and things of that nature. And so when you seen Suge Knight, he's a big G. He's the considered like a gangster kind of dude. So now all tough dudes feel like they got to smoke a cigar. So now all of a sudden, cigar lounges become popular. And everybody want to smoke a cigar. Tough women even smoking cigars now. They puffing and everything. And we wonder why we die of cancer, but that's not what this show is about here tonight. But why is it that we can't see that there is a hidden hand behind this fashion industry that's painting the image that we are going to depict ourselves as? And like V said earlier, he was into hip hop. He grew up around the hip hop age, and so that's basically how he dressed. You saw how he conducts his, or how he likes to dress, or and so now you got these millennials, Gen Zs, as they call them, and all these other different generations of young people, and they're creating new styles for them. These young people aren't creating it for themselves, just like we didn't create hip hop for ourselves. I mean, for your generation, V. And in my generations, we was wearing like you said, Kim, the baggy pants, what they call them, flare bell bottoms. That's what they would call bell bottoms, and the big exotic colors and things of that nature. We didn't create them things for ourselves. Somebody else created them by having artists, you know, wear those kind of colors. If you look at back in those days, the entertainers, Earth, Wind and Fire, the Daz Band, the Gap Band. If you look at the attire, the kind of outfits that they were wearing, it's those same colorful outfits like people were wearing on Soul Train. Earth, Wind and Fire, all those colors and all those different designs, same stuff. And then we end up wearing them in society as if this is a fashion now, just like cars. The Chevy was in some movie or whatever, and some drug dealer was driving a Chevy, and everybody was looking up to that drug dealer in the movie. So now they went out when they wanted to get a car, they had to get a car like the dude in the movie. Oh, and we just look at this stuff and we just like, well, it's a generational thing. It's just what happens. And we just throw our hands up and nobody tries to investigate. Nobody tries to say, hey, you know, where did this thing come from? I seen it was a style where guys were wearing puff balls. You know, when do a guy think that that's handsome to put his hair in two little balls on his head and walk up and down the street? Who made him think that that was handsome? I don't know. You know, we I guess it's okay. We think it's cute, right? So I guess it's cool.
It is. It's a fashion. It's an expression. Like guys walking around with earrings in their ears, nose, eyebrows. So yeah, it's a form of expression. That's what you want to do. Do it.
All right. Let me ask this question then. Let me ask this question. Since it's about expression.
Mm-hmm.
If back in the day there was a group, Cameo. I think it was called Cameo. That drummer, or even Parliament George Clinton, on stage he had a damn diaper on, right? Cameo, they drummer, he had a red. It looked like a diaper, but it was like a cup. You know, one of them sports cups that football and sports players wear. He had a red one that he wore on stage. Now, if I call myself expressing myself and I came outside with one of them on, y'all would think something was wrong with me. But if I got enough people to do it, now if I was in a movie and I was Tupac, or if I was Denzel or somebody like that, and I wore that, and I was a superhero in the movie, and I wore that in the movie, and people started wearing it up and down the street, we would say it's okay. What's the difference between me coming out, walking up and down the streets doing it, and everybody else doing it because they saw Denzel in a movie do it? What makes it okay for them, and me, when I do it, I'm crazy? There's something wrong with me. You want to say something, Londa?
Yeah. Kim told you already. It's influence. If you don't have influence of any kind, then we're gonna think something's wrong with you. But when you have influence and you have an audience that you present it to, and that content that you're creating, like it reaches a certain, like the people, like the powers that be, they know exactly what's happening. It's part of propaganda. And for me, it's a little different because my man goes a little differently for it. So when we talk about fashion and the powers that control it, I think totally different about it. It's propaganda. It's controlled by frequency and energies and low vibration. So it's all the way that you dress basically makes you feel a certain type of way. You get a feeling of confidence or a feeling of sexiness or a feeling of whatever feeling that you get from it, which is a frequency. You're operating off a vibration. And if the powers that be can keep you at a low vibration, then they get more control. It's control for money, rates, and revenue. So the more that, and let's be honest, sex sells.
Oh,
so versus, like, I just saw a picture of Cardi B the other day on Instagram, and she's pretty regardless naturally. Mm-hmm. But the fact that she was fully covered, from even her head was covered, and she was still pretty. Like, you can still see her figure from being fully clothed versus her not being. So it's still attractive, but men are more likely to view and subscribe and buy and purchase when she's bent over and she's half naked.
But not who has control over Cardi B's career that would have her to dress like that?
The corporations that have.
You see what I'm saying? The music industry, her manager, the record companies, all of these people, they are trying to make money, right? And like you say, sex sells. And so they'll put a talented, beautiful woman like that in a stripper's outfit and put her on a record label and put her on records and put her on and send her on concert tours, and people just go crazy. Now, let me say this too. You got to understand that porn plays a role in all of this too. Porn. I'm talking about pornography. You know, pornography has been a part of male undercurrent ever since men learned how to stand up on 2 feet. So if men that watch pornography are looking in these Playboys, these magazines, and well, it's on the internet now. You can go on there and just type in porn and get you see what you want to see. If that's what men are attracted to, and then you take it out of the magazine and put it on a concert stage, the image I'm talking about, because it's the same image, a beautiful woman cladly clothed, you know, gyrating sexually. And so now what man wouldn't say, oh man, she's gorgeous, oh my God, and you know, be going crazy about what they're seeing because they can watch it in the open now, in contrast to having to hide, you know, in some dark room or a closet or something with a little magazine and a flashlight.
That's part of the plan. It's just like, you know, slavery is no longer slavery today. It's modern day slavery. We clock in and out for a bigger corporation. So instead of them hiding it and it's not as secretive anymore, they play in your face. It's more acceptable now. So, for example, as beautiful as she is, and I grew up in the same era with V. We grew up in the 90s was our era with this R&B. So, you know, we had the Babyface and the R. Kellys, and then we had NWAs, we had the Asian, like we had a mixture. So it was balanced though. So what happens now is because it's a newer artist. Now you got to entertain, and they're not singers or rappers anymore. They're entertainers. So now they're entertaining you. So what she's doing on stage is she's promoting, she's selling rap, she's selling music, she's selling sex, she's selling liquor, she's selling a whole lot of things, because when she brings the men out that's coming to watch her gyrate and shake her behind like that, the men are going to come and spend money on liquor. They're going to bring a date. They're buying food. They're bringing blunts. They're purchasing more through the economy. They pretty much are giving their dollars out, stimulating the economy per se. And that's what they're doing. And so they're coming out, they're paying that money for that 2 hours of entertainment for that night. And afterwards, it's more promotion, because now they're going to the clubs. They're going to do more drugs and more liquor and more entertainment and more songs. And that's how they spend their money. So when we talk about, again, the propaganda behind it, is, for me, it's frequency, energy, and vibration, because now they can keep you at that low vibration. Like the people, the designers, why are we buying designer things to begin with? It's because now the elite stay rich and the poor stay poor, because they can afford it and you can't. So you're going to take the extra few dollars that you got to go buy something that you really can't afford because somebody else said it's going to make you feel good.
Yeah. And it makes you look.
It's the way that it works. It's the way that it operates.
And so I guess it's not about expression anymore. You know, we're really exposing our need for attention. We're exposing ourselves as a people that need to be seen, that want to be seen, that want to be considered as beautiful, want to be considered as sexy, want to be considered as powerful. We want all of these things. We want to be considered as wealthy. You know, we might not have a pot to piss in or the window to throw out of, you know, but when we go outside, people gonna think you balling because of how you look and how you dress and the clothes you got on.
Some educated women they're beautiful and they're educated. And I see this because they're content creators as well. So I may follow them on social media. And the doctor is one that's a doctor, and she is beautiful and she's smart. However, when she's in the presence of a man, she dresses totally different than when she's in the presence of a woman. You want to know why? Because that network of men is going to give her different views, different ratings, and that check is probably going to be a whole lot bigger because she's showing what it is that she has in addition to her brain. That's just the way I feel that we have just come as society. Like, it's just, this is what's selling, this is where the rating goes, this is where the money's going to generate from this. And then the more they put it out there, or the more they control it on the radio and the TVs, the more the kids are, it's past us now. It's the more they're going to entertain them. They get to control their minds with that because they feel a certain type of way when they hear it, when they see it. And that's what they want to do. It's a control for me.
Right. And those kids going to have their parents go buy what they want, what they see the influencers do. Because they know their parents are going to spend the money.
Now, let me ask this question. Because I noticed both of y'all is using this term that's not a new, I mean, it's not an old term. It's something that just recently came about, influencers. You know, people online that influence other people, right? And they call them influencers, right?
Correct.
And don't these people get rewarded for their influence?
They're the online advertisers now. Before the internet and before Facebook and social media, we had advertisers. We had the newspapers, magazines. What's another advertisement? Commercials. We had those.
Yeah, commercials.
So now we're moved away from that. Now we're in the social media. So guess what? Those influencers, those are the advertisers. So that's how they're getting paid. And that's how the product is getting out there to the people. So the larger your number, guess what? Now you're going to attract the advertisers. So yes, they're going to start paying you to promote their product. And if you notice these content creators and stuff like that, they're promoting products now. Because they're getting paid to be the advertisers, because now you don't have the newspapers, the commercials. A lot of people not watching TV anymore, so they're losing that audience. It all boils down to the money. You follow the money, and these businesses are following where the money is going. And guess what? It's on social media, so they need to attract these influencers so now they can promote their products. Like with a lot of these skits that's being on TV, if you notice, you seeing name brand products in the background. They're promoting these products. And when they're talking about, that's how people putting their businesses out there. These homemade people who's doing these homemade bows and these other products they're selling. And even artists, they're putting their music and stuff online now, because guess what? They're going to cut out the record label. I don't need you. I can just put my product on social media to my followers and for free.
And so I guess then the bottom line is that we aren't really culturally expressing ourselves. We're using fashions as a way of exposing ourselves for who we really are. I mean, I believe that there was a time where people were like an art, they were expressing themselves, you know, as an artist or something to that effect. You know, I seen a guy. Well, when I was younger, and I was in the entertainment stage. Y'all remember Casper, right? The guy that did the Casper slide. Well, you know, Casper's from Chicago, and Casper used to go around to the clubs, and he was a DJ, and he did a lot of different things. But I remember when he used to do this skit where one he had this outfit on that one side was like a suit and the other side was a dress. Then one side of his face was made up, and he had his, I don't know if his he cut his hair or it was a wig, but it was an afro like a man, and the other side was curly and flipped over like a woman. And he would sing songs like Luther Vandross and that other lady. He would sing their songs, and he would turn sideways when it's the man's turn, and he turned the other way when it was the woman's time to sing, right? And he was pantomiming and thinking people was eating that stuff up. But now then, that became a fashion thing at one point where I saw a person that they wasn't going as far as having a dress on one side and a suit on the other. They were having like two different types of suits. One, it might be a black, one side be black and the other side be white, but it'd be a different style and this, that, and another. And so these were expressions. You know, these were black people that were creating these different styles for us as a people. And when black people saw us with them, they was like, oh man, that's shy. Where'd you get that? That was tailor-made. Remember, it was a thing called tailor-made at one time, where people were having their clothes tailor-made, meaning that we were creating these things and we had to make them ourselves. Ain't no more tailor. Well, there is, but you're gonna spend a whole lot of money.
Object a little bit. I think like I don't think it's not expressing and it's not exposing. I think it's like it's trending. It's pretty much it's trending because it's gonna change as the days go along. But like to the Casper situation, like my personal opinion, but I just feel like part of the program, like they programming 10, 20 years ahead of us than what we actually got. So whatever stage we in, they already 20 years ahead of us at that point. So that was basically frequency again, because now it's in your subconscious mind that he got a man on one side and then he's a woman on the other side. And that's going to lead into your subconscious mind going into the bisexual thing or the LGBTQ, and it's okay to do this and that. They just preparing the subconscious mind for their agenda for later on. That's not totally okay, because I have never in my 40 plus years being on earth ever seen a man, a real man, a masculine man that was okay with even playing dress up. Or playing in his lady. We both gonna question that if that was a thing. So I again, they're just playing and they're propaganding, and I feel like that's just they're preparing. Each phase is preparing for the next step in their agenda. I don't think that that's a trend or a topic or like he's just doing that because it's acceptable. It was put there for a reason. And those that bit the bait, and it bit into their subconscious minds. I'm just not gonna believe that that's okay.
This is all I'm saying. You know,
a few years, like maybe 10 years ago or something. But remember the lady that was she white and thought that she was black or something like that, or it could have been vice versa, and we all thought that she was crazy because it was whichever way it went. But in her mind, that's what it was. It's like, is that a mental illness? Or is it just something that's trending? Like because she feels that she's the opposite, that it's okay for her to be the opposite, or we should address her as such, even though we physically see that she's not.
Well, it seems like some of these terms, because I know this trending is a term, a content creator, or all of these terms are terms that came with the internet. You know, before the internet, there was no such thing as a content creator. There was no such thing as trending, you know, and if it was, it wasn't dealing with fashions or styles or things of that nature, or maybe it was, because Afro was a trending thing back in the day, I guess, but they didn't call it that. They wouldn't say Afros are trending, you know, because our styles wasn't changing as quickly as they change now, and our what we are attracted to is not. We're not being manipulated to be attracted to this today, and tomorrow is something else. You know, I remember Cabbage Patch dolls was a thing that everybody just had to have. I mean, people was going crazy about Cabbage Patch Down. People was going crazy about them fans when that song came out. You don't even see a damn fan now. You know what I'm saying? So it just shows you how manipulated we are, how they can just manipulate us into spending our money on anything that they shine a light on, and we go crazy. We go and get it, and then when they ready for us to move on to something else, they shine the light on the next thing. You know,
But
almost like
you're conditioned to think that started at the age that my daughter is now. That started at 4 or 5. She's 4, and if anything K-pop, Demon Hunter, or Netflix come on, she's instantly, her antenna goes up. That programming starts early. That is another form of programming. It's another form of, what's the other word? It's another form of programming, basically, and that started early. So, for example, like when we were growing up, I was like a Levi. I just had to have a Levi. It wasn't the fact that did I really like it, no, but just because it had the name on it and it was a so-called name brand at that time, like, yeah, I wanted it. I needed it. I wanted it, and I had to have it. It was a condition. It was like you're taught that if you have this label or you have that label or you have this, then you're better, or you should feel better, or you got more, or you're wealthy, or you're this, or you're that. But in the same reality, most of us, and I'm talking about the mass majority of us in our age group, we still rent. You can't get 300 of us to come together to buy land, to build family compounds, or just build anything for ourselves to create generational wealth. Most of us have no clue what's going on. But again, we spend the last $200 to $300 that we have instead of an investments on name brand clothes and accessories. That's what you're taught as a young kid. That's why they feel good about themselves, and that's like their self-esteem. So until you show them something different or teach them different, it's all part of the program. It's not really a trending topic, it's part of the program. They're going to spend any extra money outside of paying bills on fashion and design to feel good about themselves.
So, I guess did you want to say something else? I thought I heard your voice.
Yeah, I wanted to just touch on something Lonnie said. So with a lot of the past, we saw that kind of like you said, whatever is we're getting now is already 20 years ahead or whatever. So remember when Madonna came out? Madonna was dressing what we consider provocatively. She was ahead of her time because she was on the stage with lingerie and everything. And that's what we're seeing like Cardi B and all of them do now. Now we're frowning on her, but Madonna made a killing doing the same thing that they're doing like 20, 30 years ago. And she's still coming on stage the same way. So I think about a lot of this is acceptance too, and what we believe and what we don't believe, because in our culture, we weren't used to seeing people half dressed on the stage, but now it's like everybody's half dressed. That doesn't mean you have to. With Larry Blackman, he did wear that jockstrap, the red one, and we all loved to see him perform, but it was entertainment. I don't think anybody said, "Oh, I'm gonna go get one and wear it outside." We knew that it was just entertainment. I think now it's like it's a fine line between entertainment and real life with this generation, because whatever they see the entertainers do, they want to do. Whatever they see the entertainers wear, they want to wear. So I think it's all about timing. And now because we do have like the internet and all of this influence with the influencers too, it's like now it's almost like a shepherd with his flock. You're gonna do what you're told, or you're gonna do what it seems like everyone else is doing, or you're gonna feel like you're out of line. But it's all about individuality at the end of the day, because if you're going to dress like everyone else, then that says something about you. If you want to wear everything they're wearing or go out half naked. That's more about you too. Because everyone isn't a follower and everyone isn't gonna dress like Cardi B or Nicki Minaj. But when it comes time for them to entertain or get that money, they're gonna do what gets the money.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I get that, but I guess it's the psychology of all of it. See, that's kind of where I'm looking at this. Is there a self-esteem issue with humanity? And what I mean by that is that is our self-esteem so low? And what I mean by self-esteem, do we think so little of ourselves that in order to feel good about ourselves, I mean, because just think about it, as kids are the most cruelest human beings on the planet. Kids will talk about your mama, they'll talk about you. I mean, we used to call this we people names in school: bubblehead, bubblegum butt, you know, Pinocchio nose. We used to paddle foot. We had all kind of cruel things that we used to say about people. And as these people get older, they don't grow out of that. And so they have to do something. They have to have something that makes them feel good about themselves. I know I felt good when I was able to get one of them Michael Jackson Thriller jackets. You know, I had one. I didn't have the hair to curl up like Michael Jackson or anything like that. But I mean, I loved that jacket. I had a red one, just like Michael Jackson's, right? And then you had I knew a guy that used to wear these bandanas on his head, and he had it broke down like Tupac because he looked a little bit, but he was an alcoholic, a young dude over on around 69th and Hall Street. He used to hang out there, and everybody called him Tupac, you know, because he wore that little bandana on his head. And the only reason he did that was because of the attention that he got when he wore that bandana, and it made him feel good when people would call him little Tupac or whatever, you know. And so these things help us with our self-esteem, make us feel good about ourselves. You know, if a woman can walk outside and people can say, "Girl, you got that Cardi B body," oh man, her day has been made, you know. You can't tell her nothing. And so maybe if we can, the problem is not that we're being, well, I guess the problem is being that we're being programmed and manipulated into all these different fashions and all these different styles and hairstyles and even makeup styles. You know, even that stuff is the eyelashes is, I mean, this thing, you know, I don't know where that came from, but we eating it up. I'd be glad when it go on about his business and everybody go back to their regular eyes, you know. But they making money hand over fist with this. And let's look at the nationalities that are making money off of this. It ain't us, but we spending it. Who are the ones that were making the money off of the Michael Jackson jackets and the bandanas that we were buying if we wanted to look come across like a Tupac or a Michael Jackson? Who was making money off us? It's just like Londa said, you know, it's we a cash cow, you know, and I guess because we don't feel that good about ourselves, which is another answer to your question, I guess, Londa, when you asked the question, why don't we just put our money together and buy some land and build something for ourselves? Well, that to do that, you got to have trust. You know, nobody with low self-esteem is going to trust. If I was a kid that was talked about in school, in grammar school, and in high school, everybody in the school talked about me. Even my friends, I found out, was talking about me behind my back. And as I get older, now I go to work, and people are talking about me, and everybody talking about each other, and this, that, and other. I mean, what kind of world are we living in if people can only feel good about themselves by going on Facebook, putting on false airs, making themselves appear to be something that they're not, in order for people to say, "Oh man, you the stuff, bro," or "Girl, you the ish," And now we can make it another day, because I got on the new styles. I'm 500 pounds, and I'm not weight shaming. I'm just speaking of a reality. I'm 500 pounds, but I got a crop top on and a tutu skirt on with my butt cheeks hanging out in the grocery store. I'm in the grocery store, and I think I'm cute. Somebody told me I was cute, right? And I came outside like that. And if you tell her that she's not, something wrong with you. You belittling this woman instead of the truth being her coming out like that was belittling. Now, I know I probably if I was famous on the internet, they'd be dogging me. But don't nobody listen to me, so I ain't worried about what people say about me. But they'd be dogging me because I said something about a 500-pound woman with a crop top and a tutu skirt on going into Target shopping, and kids walking around looking at her butt cheeks hanging out the bottom of her tutu.
I mean, but how much truth do we actually get, like, in today's day? Like, that's like my question. Like, how much truth do you think like we actually get? Because life itself, like, this is a illusion. This not even what we think. It's not even like real. So she thinks that way because where's the great grandmas or the wisdom that they passed down? Like, you ever been to a store, lady, where it says no shoes, no shirt, no service? Does anybody know why it says that? Like, you're not even supposed to have soles on the bottom of your feet. Does anybody know what grounding is? Like, we don't teach grounding with nature and putting your bare feet in with nature and how it recharges your body and of diseases. We don't tell of natural herbs and healing, and maybe they'll feel different if they were to actually be intuitive with themselves and with nature. Like, the whole design was designed to keep them and her and us and you and me and everybody exactly where we are. They're only going to let us get so far. And once they feel like we're getting ahead of them, they're going to change the rules of the game. Until everybody decides to stand up and knock the whole board over. Until then, we're all stuck.
Now, you know what happened to grandma?
I would rather be healthy and wealthy while I go to the bank and play the game with them. But I'm just saying, like, that's just my fact. That's my truth. Yeah. Most of us are not getting the actual truth unless you go seeking it. Nobody is actually giving it to you.
Well, you asked the question, what happened to grandma? Grandma used to teach us certain things. Grandma used to be in the house. Like when I grew up, my grandmama lived with us, my mama's mama. She stayed with us, right? And she was there until I was damn near in my early 20s when my grandma passed, right? And I'm only saying that to say that today grandma in a nursing home, or grandma ain't in the house with us no more. Grandma and grandpa, they're in the old folks home, or like I say, a nursing home, or and so grandma and grandpa can't pass no wisdom down to the grandkids, because they ain't nowhere around. We don't go to the nursing homes to see grandma and grandpa, only on maybe their birthday and Christmas, And so how did that happen? Who decided to put grandma and grandpa in the old folks home?
But somebody had to get that wisdom. Some stories was told somewhere along the line. So whether it was the great aunties or the aunties, somewhere along the line, the stories had to be told in order to keep the next generation to keep going. Like, I think they were told, but again, the program and the agenda may have interfered, but I don't think they're just at the nursing homes with all this wisdom and we just all out here struggling, just looking stupid.
So
Mhm.
so you're saying that these old people are in the nursing home because they don't have wisdom?
No, I'm saying to the knowledge that big mamas and your great grandmothers actually had, that they were to pass down for generations to come. And most likely, if it was Pawpaw, that means the son and the great grandson, the boys got it. If it came from Big Mama, most likely the girls got it, whether that was the cooking, the recipes. Like, it's even nowadays, personal hygiene is important because some women, they don't know. And it's not that they don't know because they're ignorant and they just being trifling. Nobody actually taught them.
Right.
And it's sad to see, but it's our reality.
Well, our time is almost up. We got about 5 minutes, so let's kind of put tie a bow on this thing. In our closing thoughts, as far as what are our closing thoughts on this topic of modern day fashions? I mean, we see where this thing is going. We can look and we can project 5-10 years ahead, and we can see where this thing is going. Based on that, what is our closing thoughts? Who want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
My closing thoughts would be to dress for you. Dress how you feel, dress how it would express you. Don't be influenced what you see out here in the streets. If you see what you like in the streets, if you decide to go that way, let it be for you and not for anyone else.
Beautiful. But let me just add with my closing thought. I like what Kim said, dress for yourself. So what that's really saying is be creative and create your own style by which you dress yourself. Now, when you do that, it's going to be almost like what Brenda said in her comment. I'm grandma. I'm called old fashioned. People will talk about you. If you start dressing what makes being creative in the style that you like, because you're not trending like everybody else, then people will begin to criticize you and talk about you. And like what Kim said, I don't give a damn. You should dress for yourself and not trying to mimic or imitate nobody else. Be you. That's my closing thought. Anybody else got anything they want to say?
Yeah, I think it just goes back to what y'all was saying a little earlier about the low self-esteem thing you was touching on and stuff like that, Ty, and the programming that both of y'all, you and London and them, was touching on. It feels good for us to wear certain things and have certain things that we think people would like, because that means they like us if we have these certain things on and possess these certain things. And so it goes back to the question, like you say, man, where did this come from and how did we get this? Because it just goes way back into this whole programming thing about, we have to have certain things in order for people to like us, because we only going to feel good about us if we dress a certain way and things like that. And even from back when you touched on the grandparents, even that, when we talk about grandma and them, I mean, grandparents even sometimes too, they own you about being a certain way and doing things a certain way, so people won't talk about you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it just goes back to that programming, man, and we got to figure that out. How do we deprogram from that stuff?
Amen. That is so true. We got to deprogram ourselves. And I think knowing the truth helps us to do that. But sometimes the truth don't even help, because the programming is just that strong. We aren't strong enough to swim against the current, to go against this programming and be who we are. almost like being unplugged in the Matrix. You know, if you saw the Matrix, you know, that guy, Cypher, he didn't want to be unplugged. He didn't care. He knew the truth, but he didn't care. He wanted to be plugged back in, you know, because that was more comfortable for him to be plugged into the Matrix than to be living in the real world and be the real him. Well, I thank you guys for being on here, for sharing your thoughts. You know, we had Miss Brenda. She was watching and she was making her comments. You know, we got Mr. Hercules Cannon, who was making comments. I went to high school with Hercules. Well, he went to high school with my sister. I think he graduated with my sister. Miss Fonzie, that's my next door neighbor. Hey, Fonzie, she was on here. We got Carl that was checking us out. Welcome, Carl. Who else was on here? Oh, what's up? Kiki was on here. My cousin Kiki, my wife Yolanda. Thank you all for being on here. And until next week, man, we thank you all, and we ask that you share this video and subscribe to our channel. You know, if you like our content, you know, because we're content creators. Wow. So if you like our content, you know, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And until next week, you guys, continue to think for a change. You know, think for a change as you're thinking for a change. Till next week, we out of here. Peace.
Thanks for supporting our podcast. We look forward to see you next Thursday at 8 p.m. We also ask that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. The more subscribers we have, the more YouTube will push our podcast to more viewers. But until then, subscribe also for a peaceful mind. Your activity will reflect that peace.